Hey guys, this is the latest Leica M10-P. I had a chance of testing it for a day. I was supposed to test the M10, but there's only one test model and the guy who was testing it before me had not returned it yet. So when I arrived at the shop, I was offered an M10-P instead. The weather's not very good today, so I'll probably only use it for half day. See you later. Okay guys, now I'm back to talk about my experience. It's the first time for me to use a rangefinder, which is very different from the cameras I've used before. But the first impression I got when I hold the camera is the build. Metal is used in places where cameras from other brands would normally use plastic. The combination of camera and lens is heavier than they might look, and its simplistic design made me feel that this is how a camera should be made, although I do feel uncomfortable when holding it even with two hands. I've used Fujifilm X-Pro2, which has an optical viewfinder. It's not a true rangefinder. For someone who uses rangefinder for the first time, focusing isn't as easy as other autofocus cameras, but admittedly, due to the nature of rangefinder, once you nailed the focus, it's never wrong, not like autofocus cameras which can have false positive focus. At first, I often leave the finger tap below the middle of the lens, rotate it left and right to see if the object is in focus. One issue with this approach is that I could never be sure if rotating more would make it more in focus or less in focus, which takes some time. After a few tries, I learned to leave the finger tap on leftmost or rightmost position, then rotate the focus ring one way only. Click shutter once the patch is reasonably overlapped. With a small aperture like f5.6, I always get sharp enough object in photo. For people who don't know how rangefinder works, here's how. Imagine your two eyes do not have the same vision, and when you see something clearly, the things in background would have double image. And when you look at background, the double image overlaps become a single clear image. Rangefinder works the same. With X-Pro2 and 35mm lens, which equivalent to 50mm full frame, I often use zone focusing with f11 and focus at 5 meters, which gives me reasonable depth of field from 3 to 10 meters, but on full frame Leica, the 50mm is a true 50 and it's not that easy to use zone focus. So there's actually a benefit of smaller sensor cameras for street photography because you get more depth of field for the same aperture number, plus the camera can be made smaller, which is another advantage. Having said this, the image quality from full-frame Leica does impress me. I could see a rich color tone and a nice color transition and a 3D pop, which many Leica photographers would agree. One of the main differences between M10 and M10P is the P got a quiet shutter, which is said to be the quietest among all digital Leica Ms. I don't have other Leica Ms to compare, and it doesn't make too much sense to record the shutter sound on a video without comparison, so here's the shutter sound compared to my X-Pro2. Leica is famous for its color signature. In the film days, this largely depends on the film and partially on the lens, I guess. In digital age, actually every brand has a unique color rendering. I have a Panasonic GX9, so I took a few photos to compare the colors. Panasonic has a close relation with Leica for photography, and I don't know how much they influence each other. Some evidences are, for example, Leica Q uses the same battery as Panasonic GX8, and some lower-end Leica digital cameras are rebadged Panasonic ones. I heard that Olympus used sensor from Kodak at the beginning, so they adopted some chrome-like color profile which is now Olympus color, especially the blue sky. I've used other Panasonic models in the past and I found the color tends to be warmer, which many people don't like, especially for Asian skin tones. So GX9 has added a new auto white balance, which is quite similar to Olympus with warm color turned off. In comparison, Leica looks warmer. Here are a few photos I took on the street. I've also written 4 articles covering different aspects.